All right, hey, once again, everyone, it is Thursday evening. It's time for Weather for Weather Geeks. This is the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast video, and we're going to talk a lot about the next coming days in this video and talk about the month of May and the forecast for the month as a whole. But first, wanted to do a review of where we've been since the start of 2018. April of 2020 is going to go into the record books as a cooler than average month, our first cooler than average month of 2020, and only the third since the beginning of 2019. Only March and November were cooler than average in 2019. 2018 had four cooler than average months, including back to back months in March and April. So 21 of the last 28 months have been warmer than average. So it's getting increasingly rare to have a month like we just had in the month of April. Now, it's entirely possible that we'll have back to back cooler than average months in April and May this year for the first time in about 2 years. But climate change skeptics did want to talk about the globe as a whole. And yeah, chances are, if you're watching this video, you're savvy enough to understand that climate change is a real thing. In fact, it's a very serious thing. And just because it was cool in Youngstown, Ohio in April does not disprove global warming or global climate change. And yeah, we kind of hogged the cool weather in April in Canada and the eastern two-thirds of the U.S. The rest of the globe, you see a lot more orange than you see blue. So it was definitely another warmer than average month on a global scale. But on a local scale, of course, it was on the cool side. All right, the May outlook. Now, this is from the Climate Prediction Center, part of the National Weather Service, but I generally agree with what they have here. This map kind of resembles the April map. The general pattern that we've been in for a lot of April is likely to continue through at least the first 10 days, if not 2 weeks, at least, of May. And so even if temperatures, if the pattern is more favorable for average or above average temperatures late in the month, that's probably still not going to be enough to offset the cool pattern for the first half of the month. So odds are favoring a cooler than average month overall in our area and a lot of the lower Great Lakes, parts of the Northeast as well. And it's a very good bet that it'll be a warmer than average May in parts of Texas and the desert Southwest and up through the West Coast as well. As far as precipitation goes, now this does not look like an especially wet month. Next week does not look that active. The week after might be a little more active. But overall, when it all shakes out, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a very wet month of May compared to average. May tends to be one of our wetter months of the year. But this year we may be near average, and there's even a chance that we end up a little drier than average. I would place money on it being drier than average instead of wetter than average, but still it may come out in the wash as pretty close to typical for May, which, May, again, it's a wet month overall climatologically speaking. So, if we pick up about 4 inches worth of rain in May, that'll be kind of a typical May overall, not an especially wet one. All right, we had a little wet weather at times today. Time lapse from Columbiana shows all the clouds around. And occasionally we did have the showers, especially right around midday. In fact, we had some pretty decent downpours in parts of the area around midday today. These are some rain gauge numbers from some of our local rain gauges. About an inch in some of the rain gauges near the state line and over into Mercer County. And, these are rain gauges. When you look at radar estimates, amounts were definitely higher than that in parts of western PA, especially Mercer and Lawrence County. Now, for the year so far, we're at the 1/3 mark of the year. We're a third of the way through the year, in other words. We're running 4.33 inches above average. Pittsburgh 5.26, Wheeling 4.22. Overall, you don't see a huge difference across our region. Everyone's above average precipitation-wise. The numbers are definitely higher as you get down towards I-70, Columbus, over towards Zanesville. I mentioned those 24-hour totals being a little bit higher in parts of our area than were shown by some of the actual rain gauges. Some of our radar estimates here, an inch to inch and a half, even maybe 2 inches in a few isolated spots over the last 24 hours. We are sitting underneath a pretty potent upper-level low-pressure system. You see the cyclonic flow around that low-pressure system in the upper levels, and there's definitely a cool pool of air both aloft and down here at the ground. Temperatures are in the lower 50s locally, only 47 in Columbus, but look off to the west. This is the air mass that is going to come our way as we head into the upcoming weekend. But in the meantime, first day of May on Friday, not great. A lot of clouds through the daylight hours. Maybe at the last minute we get some clearing, but the clearing definitely more pronounced as we head through the overnight hours. And then clouds may increase for a time on Saturday. May end up being kind of a mostly cloudy second half of the afternoon, but these will not be rain-producing clouds, and it will not stop temperatures from rising very nicely back up to about average, even a degree or two above average Saturday afternoon. Now, we have a weak, sorry excuse for a cold front coming our way Sunday. In fact, this is hardly a front at all. But it is a disturbance that'll be enough to produce a spotty shower and thunderstorm late Saturday night and maybe into Sunday morning. Our in-house model here places most of these down towards the lower Ohio River Valley as we get into Sunday. Not sure if that's the right placement of this activity at this point. We're going to carry the chance for a shower or a storm on Sunday, but I think the vast majority of the day will be rain-free. Temperature-wise, though, yuck. So we get into next week. No more 60s, no more 70s. We're talking 50s from Monday right through Friday, and I think that general trend will probably continue right into Mother's Day weekend, which, of course, is next weekend. I don't see a large-scale pattern change through at least Mother's Day weekend and probably through at least the 15th of May. What does that mean practically speaking? It means that we can occasionally have the day like we're going to have Saturday and even Sunday. Occasionally we're going to spring up to about average, even a little above average, but that's just kind of the exception. The rule will be the mean pattern, if you will. Trough in the eastern U.S., ridge in the western U.S. means a mean, cool pattern. It's the kind of pattern that we really did not see throughout all of winter. It was a very warm winter as a result of the opposite pattern being the dominant pattern back in winter, but now that we're into mid-spring, unfortunately, we're kind of stuck in this, it looks like, for a little while. All right, that'll do it for me tonight. Thanks for checking out this evening's edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. An updated forecast coming up tonight on 21 News at 11, and I'll see you Friday evening for another edition of this video.